Have you ever thought about what you have in common with elephants? What about these fish? Or this flower? Of course, you're nothing like this paramecium. Or are you? Well, let's think about it. Even though we all look a whole lot different than these giraffes or these caterpillars, believe it or not, we share many common characteristics. Do you know what they are? We all reproduce. We move on our own. We grow. We need nourishment. We respond to our environment. And we all age and die. There's one more bond all living things share. We are all members of a community, a living community, whose members come in every size, shape, and color. A community of life, the Earth's community, home to all living things. When was the last time you went on an adventure to explore the world around you? Let's join one that's about to begin right now.
The grass that you're sitting on is alive, right? And the trees behind us are alive. Well, what do all these things have in common? I mean, how do we know that they're alive compared to a rock, which isn't alive? Claire, can you tell me some qualities of living things?
Well, usually living things move, but like a little seed, it has to be moved by the wind, or a river could move it. Well, things have to grow. Like when the baby's born, you have to support its neck, and when it gets a little older, it crawls and you don't have to help it. And when it gets a little older, it can walk, run on its own, do a lot of things on its own.
How about you, Eric?
Well, an animal has to breathe air. Okay. Anything that's alive has to breathe air.
Trees breathe air?
Yeah.
Through their mouth?
Through their leaves.
Through their leaves, okay.
One thing that living things do is reproduce. Like a mother giving birth to a baby. That's a form of reproducing.
Anthony, what else can you tell us about living things?
Well, living things have to eat food to have energy so that they can move. And they need food so that they can reproduce, too.
If something lives, it has to die. It doesn't matter how old they live. Like turtles and trees can live more than 200 years old.
And what happens to living things when they die?
Usually other animals come and eat them.
Okay, you all seem to have a pretty good idea of what's alive and what isn't. Now, I'd like you to do what your goal today is to go out and explore this nature center and its grounds and to find examples of what's living and what isn't. Now, if you can, bring the examples of these things back to the nature center. And if you can't, make a note in your notebook about what you saw or what it is exactly that you wanted to tell us about when we get together again. Now, let's look. Team 1, I'd like to go over to the farm and see what you can find over there. Team 2, you folks get the river and the forest. And don't be afraid to roll over a dead log or reach your hand in the water and pick up a rock. And Team 3, you'll get to stay right here in the meadow and explore the deep grass and maybe bring back some insects for me. Okay, let's meet back in the Nature Center in about 1 hour, and I look forward to seeing what you find in your adventure.
Let's join each team as they carry out their mission. What kind of living and non-living things do you think they'll find?
Welcome back. It looks like you found a lot of interesting examples of living and non-living things on your exploration. Team 1, what did you find down at the farm?
Well, I found these rocks, and it's really called gravel, but they don't have any needs. They don't need any because it doesn't move and it doesn't need any food.
So they're not alive.
Right, they're not alive. And I got these wild flowers, and they're getting kind of wilted, so I'm going to plant them back pretty soon.
Which way are you going to plant those?
This way.
Ah, you have roots down there.
Mm-hmm.
Good. What about you, Amy?
Well, at the farm we could feed the cows and sheep. And, well, we just fed the cows by hand. But with the sheep, you shook a bucket, which had the corn inside, and they'd come running up to you. And if you didn't feed them fast, they would grab the bucket away from you and just start eating it all.
So the sheep, when they heard the sound of the corn, they came running knowing that there would be food there, huh? So
Yeah.
they responded in a way to the noise. Can you show us some of that corn?
Corn is alive, but they just crushed it and just use it for animals now. We found this nest in the barn. And it was hooked onto the side because the side is all flat.
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuck onto.
So the birds sort of used the barn, or needed the barn in order to make a
for
home.
Shelter.
Well, it looks like you found a lot of interesting things at the farm. Team 2, what did you find in the forest and by the river?
We found this moss growing on the tree
All right. How did you know the moss was alive?
because it had this color and it looked like it was growing,
So it was fresh and green then.
very green and fresh. And we saw a red-tailed hawk, and it had a snake in its hand.
Oh, it did.
Well, rather its claw.
Right, its talons, okay. What was it doing with the snake?
It was probably gonna eat it.
Think so?
Yeah,
So that hawk needed the snake.
yeah.
Okay. Joshua, what did you find?
Well, I found some soil, and I know the soil is not alive, but the little things in it are alive.
Oh, neat.
Like these little roots. Those roots depend on the little bugs that live in there.
Right, you saw some bugs in the
Yeah.
soil. Okay, great. I see you have a spider in the jar here.
Oh, yeah.
Was that spider on the tree or in the soil?
It was inside a dead log.
Oh, it was inside a dead log. The
Yeah.
log was hollow.
Yeah.
So that made a nice home for the spider. Good job, Team 2. Team 3, what did you find in the meadow?
We saw a baby red fox. And we found some wildflowers.
How could you tell those flowers were alive?
They were on what looked like a live bush.
Green and
Yeah.
brown, wilted.
Well, we were chasing a butterfly
Was it alive, or how could you tell it was a butterfly, not just a leaf or something blowing in the wind?
because I saw both of his wings flapping.
Oh, you saw the wings flapping?
We also found this feather from a bird at the edge of the forest.
At the edge of the forest. Did you see any non-living things in that field? Was the sun shining?
Yeah.
The sun was shining, okay. Well, is sunlight living?
Yeah.
You think so? Does it reproduce?
No.
Oh, I thought you told me that reproduction was part of living.
Well, you don't have to.
You don't have to reproduce? Well, if something chose not to reproduce, how long could it go on living?
Not very long.
No, not long at all. So I really don't think they have too much of a choice. If they're going to exist, they better reproduce. Well, we've all enjoyed sharing these things that we found today. Before we put them back, this might be a good time to get up and take a closer look at what we found and what else is in this room.
Their adventure has come to an end, but yours is just beginning. There are all kinds of living and non-living things waiting to be discovered, and a good place to start is in your own backyard. Who knows, an owl like this may live in a tree right outside your home.